Celebrating, yes. Thank you very much, Mr. Bukoya. We are proud of you. Ladies and gentlemen, George family is the man I like to call the Dean Emeritus of the Lagos State School of Transport and Logistics, the person of Professor Segun Odewumi. Please, SG Odewumi, please celebrate him. Celebrate him. It's like this School of Transport students don't know this man, no. You still don't know him. Please celebrate him once again. Yes, thank you very much, Prof, for joining us, sir. The incumbent dean is also here. I should have recognized him much earlier. Professor Charles Asenime. Professor Charles, thank you for what you are doing. I make bold to say that the LASU School of Transport and Logistics is the best in Nigeria. The best in Nigeria. Do you agree with me? If you agree, you say aye. If you disagree, say nay. The nays did not come. So the Isaac Yakin, please celebrate Dr. Yakin. He has been everywhere, leaving no stone unturned to make sure that this program is a huge success that it is today. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, it is the last endowed professorial chair of the School of Transport Studies guest lecture. It's a day we have been looking forward to, and the day that we are happy is finally here. I've been told that the university management is here. Now please elect. Yes, amongst invited dignitaries, I recognize Engineer Dr. Remy Ademumi from the NITT Zaria. Please, a round of applause for him for joining us all the way from Zaria. Thank you very much, sir. I also recognize Brigadier General Sylvester Anyogo of the Nigerian Army. Good morning, sir, and thank you very much for joining us This morning, ladies and gentlemen, we have with us the Vice Chancellor of the Great University, the 9th substantive VC, the second female to occupy that office, Professor Ibiyemi Ibilola Olatunjibelo, MNI, FNLI, FSBSD, MPON. Please a round of applause for the VC. She's being represented by the Deputy Vice Chancellor Academics, Professor Oseni Taiwo Afisi. Also with us this morning, she's already seated on this side of the auditorium, is the guest lecturer for this morning's lecture, and that is the MD CEO of Ramata, Engineer Mrs. Abimbola Akeajo, FNSC. Good morning. I also recognize and invite to the podium the Commissioner for Transportation in Lagos State, Honorable Oshiyemi Oluwaseun, who is ably represented this morning. Please, can I invite the representative to please come up, and that is the person of Honorable Engineer Ojowuro Olasukomi. Please, a round of applause for him. He is the Director of Transport Corporation of the Ministry of Transportation. Also with us this morning, I recognize the Commissioner for Transport in Ogun State, Engineer Benga Dairo, who is being represented this morning by Engineer Tosin Akinleye. Please a round of applause for him as he comes up. Very quickly, I must also recognize the presence of the former Commissioner for Transportation in Lagos State, who has joined us this morning, and that is no other person than Dr. Frederick Olashendi. A round of applause for him. Still in the mode of protocol, this morning, I have the honor and the privilege to invite on this side of the auditorium the host for this program, and that is no other person than the Dean of the School of Transport, Professor Charles Asenime. A round of applause for him, please. I must also recognize and invite to this side of the auditorium most respectfully the person of the co-host of this program, and that is the endowed professoral chair who has made this happen today. It's no other person than Professor Bamidele Badejo. Please celebrate him. Please celebrate him better. Celebrate him better. Please keep clapping until Baba comes here. Thank you very much, sir. Okay, I think the seats are filled. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been told that we also have the Director of Public Transportation and Commuter Services of the MOT from the Ministry of Transportation, Engineer Ebe Adebayo. We recognize you. Thank you very much for joining us. Yes, so moving very quickly in our program, the next item is the opening remarks, the welcome address rather, by the co-host of this program. Okay, before I invite Baba in, I recognize Engineer Abiji. Once again, please, thank you very much. I recognize him, but again, I do that. Thank you very much for joining us. The representative of the PS of the Ministry of Transportation. And on that note, it is time to take the mic, the co-host of this program. Celebrating as he comes to deliver his welcome address. Please keep clapping. clapping. Thank you very much. Keep clapping. I've been told that his address is short, and definitely it will be.
Thank you very much. Let me stand on the established protocol. But I have the directive and instruction of the Vice Chancellor, ably represented by the Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic, Professor Taiwo Afisi, that we should give our guest lecturer who lost her mother just on Sunday, buried according to Islamic rites on Monday, and today is the final prayer for the repose of our mother's life. That we should give her a 1 minute silence in remembrance of the departed soul. May we all rise for that 1 minute silence, please. May the soul of the departed rest well, and God grant her al-Jannah Fida. Thank you very much. There is an adage in Yoruba which says, Tabanika Kaoluwa, Ilyasu, Ilyamo, Ilyasu. I have nothing to say than to welcome everybody here present to this lecture. We have been through, and we thank God for the supports that we have received from the university, and also the overwhelming understanding of the entire Lamata family, ably led by the MD CEO, Engineer Akiajo. All of our guests, especially the commissioners there present, as well as our invited guests, the man from NITT Zaria. There's another person on the screen from Kano, Minister of Transportation. And there are two other people from Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. They had a delay in their flight, and the rescheduling of the lecture actually affected their schedule. But they are our students. I want to thank you for coming, and I also want to thank you for the support you have given us. Without you, this place will be here, the lecture will go, but the messages might not have been passed to all of you. I use this privilege and opportunity to welcome all as a lecturer.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Can we give a better round of applause for Professor Banjo for a very big welcome address that has been well delivered. Ladies and gentlemen, we are moving very quickly in the program. I've been told that our guest lecturer has another very important engagement that she has to attend to, so we'll make this as brief as possible. And on that note, it is now time for me to invite the presence of the Vice Chancellor of this great university, Professor Ibiyemi Ibilola Olatunbelo, MNI, FNLI, FSC, SC, MPON, to deliver a welcome address. And this is represented by Deputy Vice Chancellor Academics, Professor Useni Taiwo Afisi. A round of applause, please.
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the Vice Chancellor, Professor Ibiyemi Ibilola Olatunbelo, I welcome you to Lagos State University. First, let me welcome the Honorable Commissioner of Transport in Lagos State, Engineer Oshiemi Oluwaseun, who is ably represented here by Engineer Ojoguro Olasofanmi, the Honorable Commissioner for Transport in Ogun State, Engineer Gbenga Dairo, who is also ably represented here by Engineer Tosin Akinloye, the former Lagos State, Engineer Frederick Olashainde, our esteemed guest lecturer and Managing Director of Lagos Metropolitan Area Transport Authority, Lamata, Mrs. Abimbola Akinojo, Akinojo, apologies. The representative, I can see the chairman of NURTW and his members here present. I recognize all distinguished professors here present. The Dean of School of Transport and Logistics, Professor Charles Aseneme. Our world-class students, we are LASU. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Vice Chancellor, I warmly welcome you all to Lagos State University. We are Nigeria's best state university according to 2024 Times Higher Education Sub-Saharan Africa University Ranking, the 4th best university in Nigeria, and the 9th best university according to the AD Scientific Index 2024. We remain a center of excellence in knowledge, character, and service, and we pride ourselves in our successes and achievements over the years, celebrating every milestone reached, as well as the milestones reached by staff, students, and our respected alumni scattered all over the globe. Today, I am most delighted because this guest lecture marks yet another milestone for the university, as the School of Transport and Logistics brings the town to meet the gap, to discuss a subject that is central to urban development and prosperity, not just in the world, but in Lagos State in particular, and Nigeria in general. Transport infrastructure delivery and sustainable development of Lagos State, the Lamata experience. We're delighted and honored to welcome our guest lecturer, Engineer Mrs. Abimbola Akinojo, FNSE, the Visionary Managing Director of Lamata. I want to acknowledge the transformations that your leadership has brought to the public transport system in Lagos, from the successful implementation of the Bus Rapid Transport BRT system to the historic launch of the Blue and Red Line rail project. Lagos State has made giant strides in transport, and Lamata stands as a pillar of that progress. Multimodal system, increased capacity, and improved connectivity are becoming realities for millions of residents in the state, and LASU is proud to be a thought partner in this transformation. At the heart of this partnership is the Lagos State University School of Transport and Logistics, a first of its kind institution in West Africa, dedicated to training transport professionals, advancing research, and driving transport policy innovation. We are proud of the school's growing impact. The Lagos State Government endowed chair in transport studies further cements our institutional commitment to driving knowledge-based progress in the sector. And this lecture series is a vital part of that agenda of the endowed chair, connecting academia, government, and industry for collective impact. Before I close my remark, permit me to humbly remind the Managing Director of Lamata of our appeal for the reactivation of 10 dedicated buses of LASU staff and students, along the LASU Iyanopaja and LASU Badagry corridors. This service was previously enjoyed, but is no longer operational. With our rapidly expanding population, we propose a structured arrangement whereby 10 buses will be fully operational during academic sessions. At least 5 buses will serve during periods when students are off campus. This will ease transport burdens and further strengthen the bond between Lamata and LASU. As we reflect on the journey so far and the road ahead, let us remain committed to partnership, policy innovation, and people-first planning in the service of Lagos State and beyond. I thank you all for your presence and attention. We are LASU. Thank you so much for listening.
Ladies and gentlemen, you can do better for the Vice Chancellor. Thank you very much. And that has been the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Professor Sini Taiwo Afisi, representing the VC. Before I go to the next program on the agenda, I must recognize the presence of the representative of the MD-LVSL, Engineer Tunde Obadino. Thank you very much for joining us, sir. And on that note, I will go straight. If you look at the program of events, we're supposed to have goodwill messages at this point in time, but there is a slight adjustment to that program. So we penned the goodwill messages for now and go straight to the main business for the day, which is the lecture. Now, to usher in the lecture is the person that will take the citation of our guest speaker. And on that note, I'd like to respectfully invite the presence of Dr. Mrs. Ogumma to please come up and take the citation of the guest speaker, Engineer Mrs. Abimbola Akinjo, FNSC. Please, over to you, ma'am.
Chancellor Academics, the representative of the governor, Lagos State, our guest speaker, Engineer Mrs. Abimbola Akinjo, and Baba, our Professor Chair, Professor Badija, and all other distinguished guests, my Dean, Professor Charles Uchimata, Asenumene. You all, and may I crave your indulgence, please, to recognize another distinguished guest here. The President of the Chartered Institute of Transport Administration, Prince Dr. Shegun Obayemi. You're welcome, sir. Please stand for recognition. Thank you very much. May I crave the indulgence of Abimbola Akinjo is a chartered civil engineer, both here in Nigeria and in the UK, with almost 4 decades post-qualification experience gained in the design and delivery of major transport infrastructure projects, both on the rail and the road. She earned a BSc honors in civil engineering from the University of Nigeria, after which she proceeded to the United Kingdom, where she started her engineering career. She began her engineering career at W.S. Atkins Consulting in the UK as a graduate engineer, and moved on to be a project engineer with Robert West Consulting, a design manager with Floor Daniel Limited, and finally, a project manager with the London Underground Limited, working on railway infrastructure projects for over 20 years. At London Underground, she delivered many high-profile rail infrastructure projects, while Group Captain, who was later a Commodore, Bolahon Mukashiru, was military governor under the then Major General Muhammadu Buhari, was head of state. Subsequent administrations had struggled to retract a rail system for Lagos. The appointment of Engineer Akeajo brought verve to the supervision and completion of the first phase of the Blue Line, which has 5 stations between Marina and Mile 2, which had been under construction since 2010. The Blue Line is a 27-kilometer rail route from Marina to Okokomaiko. Incidentally, the Blue Line has a station just opposite the university main gate. Under her watch too, Lagos State launched a single payment card for all regulated transport system known as the Cowrie card. The Cowrie card is acceptable for use on buses, ferries, and trains. She also ensured the completion and commissioning of the Oyibo, MIA, Ewu, Ojota, Ifako-Ijaye, and Yaba bus terminal. Oshodi, Abule-Egba, BRT system, 570 new capacity and midi buses, and the launch of the first and last mile bus scheme. Engineer Akeajo has successfully engaged with the French Development Agency, AMD, for the funding of the construction of 3 quality bus system corridors and 2 transport interchanges at Mile 2 and CMS. The transport projects are currently under construction. Engineer Akeajo is also managing preparatory processes for the implementation of 2 new rail lines under the rail project segment of the Strategic Transport Master Plan. These are the Green Line, a 69-kilometer rail route from Marina to Lekki Free Zone, and the 57-kilometer Purple Line from Volkswagen on the Lagos-Badagry Expressway to Redemption City in Ogun State. In the quest to make rolling stock under its regulation multi-fuel, Lamata is exploring the potential of turning organic waste into biogas. She heads a steering committee on biogas production in Lagos State. The state projects 2029 for the production and use of biogas in the state. Wow. As part of efforts to hedge against climate change, Lamata, under her watch, has experimented the use of electric buses and compressed natural gas buses in order to reduce the quantum of carbon dioxide released into the atmosphere from public transportation. Please, ladies and gentlemen, with a resounding applause, I make well introduce to you Engineer Akeajo, the game changer. Thank you very much.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for that beautiful citation. I almost didn't recognize myself. So, what they said, so that we can all be clear, is that we're here to talk about, or the title of the reason we're all here, the transport infrastructure delivery and sustainable development of Lagos State. And it's all about the Lamata experience. So we're going to do this by us, when I say us, I represent Lamata, telling you what it is, how Lamata started. So we're going to paint ourselves a picture of the vision that birthed this Lamata, and then what that vision has brought forth to Lagos State. Because at the end of the day, we can all have visions, but when those visions said at the very beginning, there was a major project that was identified and alongside Lagos State Government and the World Bank. This was done between 2003 and 2010. Part of that project, and I think the very first thing that was done was capacity building. The ability to identify minds that will drive this authority. It was important that we have people who have the technical and the academic know-how to be able to take Lamata forward. There was also the development of the Strategic Transport Master Plan as part of that project. That master plan, I think, is the master stroke for Lamata and for the state of Lagos, because that master plan is the same master plan that has been developed over years. The vision is to ensure that we grade it at least between 5 to 10 years, and that is being done. But what it means is that Lagos knows at every point in time what it will do and what it needs to do to ensure that the transportation space of Lagos is growing in accordance with the population growth, economic dynamics that are occurring within the city. So we looked at, as part of the project, there was obviously other things, but for me, I feel that the biggest achievement of that first project was that development of the Strategic Transport Master Plan. Because when you have a plan, then your implementation is sure, you know exactly which way you're going. And then we then did certain other projects. We started the very first BRT, and I think Lagos holds that position, the first BRT in sub-Saharan Africa from Maltu to TBS. It runs even today. And so for us, when we're talking sustainability, there's sustainability in so many ways. The fact that our BRT system's running from that time that we implemented it nearly 20 years ago says that we're doing something right. We did rehabilitation of roads. We rehabilitated jetties and obviously the capacity building. And then we had something that the World Bank talks about till today, the creation of the transport fund. The fact that you have identified revenue coming from the states directly into Lamata ensures the sustainability of Lamata. And because that is signed into law, it is something, we all talk about political risk. But because that was signed into law and it was identified as a means with which Lamata will be funded, at the very least, the basic way in which Lamata will be funded, it's ensured that Lamata has been sustained and exists even till today. I think that was a masterstroke by the genius who is now our own president. So that was the very first project. And at that time, we had our first BRT, the first phase of the Ikorodu to TBS. That first phase got up to Mile 2. Then we had a second LUTP project, which was done between 2011 and 2017. And that was funded by Lagos State, AFD, World Bank. But the most important thing is that this second project identified, understood what the planning had said in the STMP and continued to implement those projects. The first thing it did was to also extend the STMP to 2032 so that we're constantly moving our planning forward to ensure that implementation is meeting up with the growth of Lagos. We also developed the bus route network study. For us, this was a very important study. We took a study that understood every bus route within Lagos. We then rationalized that to come to a number so that within Lamata, we can tell you every bus route that exists in Lagos today, regardless of whether it is regulated or run by our colleagues in the unions, NURT, or retail. We understand where they go, whether they believe it or not. We understand how they go. And because we do that, that's the reason we can plan. We have also the extension of the BRT. So the first BRT was extended from Maltu to reach Ikorodu. And so from that perspective, that project concluded in 2017. Now let's look at the Strategic Transport Master Plan and what are the main backbone of this master plan. So the master plan looks at rail, looks at road, and looks at water. So all of you will be aware that Lamata has a sister agency, LASU. But Lamata has the sole responsibility for planning. So we own the planning document for the state, the Strategic Transport Master Plan. So we plan for every mode of transportation within Lagos. But we then retain the road and the rail, and we pass on the waterways onto a sister agency for implementation and regulation. So within the master plan, we have 6 rail lines, 6 rail lines. We have 1 monorail. We have 14 BRT routes identified. We have 3 cable car routes, and we have 20 water routes identified within that master plan. Now, within that master plan, we started to look at what to do with our buses. One of the things that we've come up with is a bus reform initiative, the bus reform program. So like I said to you earlier, I said we have mapped every bus route that exists in Lagos. Having done that, I think we started up with 890 something, but we have rationalized it to about 485 rationalized routes. We have also categorized our bus systems. So we have the BRT routes, which as far as we're concerned, are sitting on dedicated bus lanes. We have standard bus routes, which will travel in mixed traffic, and we have the first and last mile bus routes. Those are the ones that will take you, they will be the ones closest to your homes or your places of work, and it will take you to maybe a train station, a bus terminal, or a ferry terminal. Vision of Lagos is that we will have a minimum of 15,000 high capacity buses. So there's a rule of thumb when it comes to buses. World over, they will say to you that for every million, you should have 1,000 buses. We have over 25 million people, and that is where we are, or that's where we believe we are. So if we think about that, we would say definitely we should have 25,000 buses. So the way we've looked at it is that we will have a minimum of 15,000 high capacity buses. That is where Lamata is going. And then we will have no less than 5,000 first and last mile buses and about 5,000 medium capacity buses. Next slide. And I wanted us to look at this. So this is what the outcome of the STMP implementation is expected to give us. So if you look to the first, the one to your left, I think, yeah, that's my left, you're right. So that's telling you what the modal share of public of transportation is as at the time the STMP was last updated. And you will see that the minibuses, the danfos have 72% of modal share. The cars have 19% of modal share. The regulated buses have 2% of modal share. BRT buses have circa 2% as well. The dreaded Okadas have 2%. The waterways have 2%, and the rail have 2%. But the vision is that we will implement a STMP and we will get this result. And I'm sure that when we all look at the result that we're expecting, we can see growth. The vision is that we will have 40% regulated buses. We will have rail carry at least 21%. We will have a slight reduction in the car's modal share down to 17%. The BRTs will increase by up to 16%, waterways by 5%, and motorcycles reducing. Now, what does this mean, and how do you think we can achieve this? For us, it is the ensuring that we have rolling stock. It's as simple as that. The reason we have a challenge with public transportation is all about rolling stock. So if regulated buses want to grow, then that figure of 15,000 must occur. If the BRT wants to grow, that figure of 15,000 must happen. Rail must begin to implement beyond the blue, the red, excellent achievements, but we need to do more. Because the most important thing is that we begin to reduce the modal share of cars. The ability to go mass transportation is what will drive the economy of any city. Because when we have mass transportation is when you and I will feel comfortable to leave our cars behind, because we know that when I leave home, there will be public transport that can take me from my origin to my destination. And I think that has to be the vision of any city. You know, they say that an affluent city is not about the number of cars that are owned, but when the rich are able to get onto public transport and be comfortable doing it. And that has to be where we look at us getting to. So one of the things that Lamata is doing, obviously, is the bus reform initiative. There's a lot of work that's gone. Next slide, please. There's a lot of work that's gone onto that. Like I said, within the bus reform initiative, we have 3 hierarchy of buses: the BRT scheme, the standard route, and the first and last mile. In the past few years, Lamata has managed to build 3 major BRT routes. We have, and those were commenced 2008, 2020, and 2021. I'm sure you all know these routes. Ikorodu to TBS, Oshodi to Abule Egba, and Lagos Badagry Expressway, which is the one that comes towards your school. We have huge kilometers covered by these BRT routes. You can see the figures there. But we have 4 bus operating companies working with us. We also have what we call the rescue BOCs. We have those because we're aware that sometimes there could be a problem with a franchise BOC. We can now call on these our rescue BOCs so that we do not leave our passengers stranded. We have bus management contracts at the moment. We're working toward having net bus contracts. You are transport experts here, and I'm sure that you understand what I'm saying. Because it is the way in which we're managing the services that we're delivering to you. The first one that we have that is running currently is because the state procured the buses. So we gave the buses to private sector to operate them for us under a management contract. But the vision for the state is not to keep buying buses. It's for private sector to buy buses, bring them onto the regulated space, and then put them out to use for the people of Lagos. The majority of the buses that we have are 70 bus capacities or 30 bus. So those are the high capacity buses and the medium capacity buses. We have over 750 drivers. We only have 2% at the moment that are female, but we're working to ensure that we have even higher numbers. We deploy over 300 buses daily on the BRT routes, and each bus does an average of 10 trips. We have over 51 bus stops, 12 terminals, and 5 bus depots. Now, the vision is to continue to increase that, and we'll talk about that later. So the standard routes, and these are the buses that travel in mixed traffic. We have, today, we have 48 services, and we started that in 2020, because before we didn't have any buses outside of BRT. But today, we have 48 routes that Lamata is overseeing. And this we started in 2020. We do over 8,000 kilometers every day. We have around 9 bus operating companies that work with us. And we utilize the same sort of buses. We utilize the high capacity and the medium capacity buses. We have about 450 drivers, and we deploy over 200 buses every day for just the standard route buses. Each bus will do no less than 4 trips a day. We have 10 terminals as part of the implementation of transport infrastructure strategy to improve public transport space, and we have 6 depots. Finally, we have the first and last mile bus system. This we started in 2021 because we recognized that Lagos had a peculiarity that there's certain areas that, first of all, the ridership is not as high to demand a high or a medium capacity bus. But beyond that, also the ways in which our routes are, the ability to get close to our passengers, the first and last mile buses. And that we started in 2021. Each of those routes will be no more than 5 to 7 kilometers. And we cover about 8,000 kilometers daily. We have 34 bus operating companies working with us on this. And our buses are usually around 7 and 10, 7 to 12 maximum. We have over 200 buses. We deploy no less than 200 buses daily, and we have carried over 14 million passengers on the first and last mile. Within the BRT scheme, we have carried over 560 million passengers. And within the standard routes, we have carried over 35 million passengers. Now, for us, there is a lot of room for improvement, and that is what Lamata is heading in the direction of. Next slide, please. So what do we see here? These are some of the corridors that we have, and these are showing our 3 BRT corridors. But the important thing is that I think in 2020, we launched the carry card. The vision for the state is to have an integrated intermodal system. Integration has various aspects to it. There's system integration, there's location integration. For us, the system integration must also include payment integration. When we started this, the vision was to ensure that we could use one singular form of payment for every mode of transportation. And I think we have achieved that today with a lot of work still to be done. This card, we have over 5 million carry cards out there. You can utilize it on every regulated transport mode within Lagos. We have also lifted the face of public transport by continuously developing bus terminals. We have the iconic Ikeja bus terminal is there. There's one in Yaba, there's one in Ojota, Oshodi, we all know, very iconic interchange. We have one in Ewu, which is on that Murtala Mohammed Airport Way. And then we have one in Ifakoijai. There's also one in Abule Egba that has been now opened. Now, the most important thing we need to think about is sustainability. You know, when we started the bus reform initiative, diesel was 170 naira. Today, diesel from 900, it went all the way up to over 1,000. We realized that having one singular type of fuel, i.e. diesel, was not a sustainable way. Beyond environmental issues, there was also sustainability from an economic perspective. So we started to look at alternatives. And one of the major alternatives we looked at was the CNG bus, compressed natural gas. We started piloting way back in 2021, and we started off with 11 CNG buses. Now, there's one thing Lamata is good at. We never start an initiative just by starting. We take the time to carry out studies, to understand the implications of what we want to do. So we've done this study since 2021. We've carried over 527,000 passengers, and we've covered over 317,000 kilometers, over 11,000 trips. What we were trying to understand was, first, what would be the reduction in carbon emissions if we utilize this? How would this affect the environment? How would this affect the cost of operation? Bearing in mind, I just said that diesel went skyrocket. The other form of fueling of buses that we tried the e-buses. We have 2 electric buses that has been in our fleet since 2023 May. Now, the interesting thing here is that we've been able to identify and capture and understand what that means in terms of emissions. We have, as far as these 2 buses are concerned, we have saved over 400,000 kilograms of CO2. So from an environmental perspective, it's about the best form of buses we can have. But we also acknowledge and understand the challenges that it comes with because of the terrain that we are in. We do an average of 6 trips within here. And I think this is a point at which we must discuss what the country is doing in terms of energy transition. The federal government is very clear as far its energy transition from the transportation perspective. They have said that as a country, we will go from gas to electric. And so therefore, we cannot negate the utilization of gas. It is also an economic development for the country of Nigeria. We are a gas producer. So it makes sense for us to utilize our gas. But first and foremost, I always say when I travel, when they talk about e-buses being the only way for sustainability, I disagree. Not because it is not a fact, but it may not be the way for every city. I live in the world where I feel that for us to begin to see sustainability, we need to go mass transportation. So today, the majority of our buses, we have the downfalls. We have over 75,000 downfalls. The vision must be that we begin to look at going mass. It means we have railway, we have high capacity buses. So that if you look at it, a high capacity bus is like replacing 5 downfalls. So from that perspective, when we go mass, there is no way. If I have 100,000 downfalls today and I have Korokways and all of those running all around the city, but then I am able to consolidate and have no more than 20,000 vehicles, we're doing something to the environment. And let us understand that in doing that something to the environment, we're doing that something with all of our colleagues that are working with us. Those are those who are today doing the downfall business. We're in serious conversation with the unions to ensure that we move together as a unit within Lagos State. One of the things that Lagos is doing is we have a number of thematic studies that are looking to move us from where we are to that sustainable position. And that means we have the bus industry transition program. Program is looking at this opportunity of becoming of making mass transit the way for Lagos. And that conversation is being had vividly with the unions. So let us say it very clearly here. This is not a matter that we want to remove union or we want to replace them. They are a core part of the transportation industry of Lagos State. They have years of experience, which we in Lamata acknowledge. They work with us on some of our BRT routes today, but it is important, even for their own existence and growth, that they recognize that change is coming. And in fairness, I must acknowledge that the 2 unions have been very cooperative in the conversations. They have been very cooperative in the conversations that we're having. So it says that everybody understands that progress is coming to Lagos and we're all carrying one another along. So the bus industry transition program is a project that we've been doing for the past about 12, 18 months. It's a 3-year program, and that program is being conducted alongside our colleagues in both NURTW and here. And the vision is that we begin to roll out high capacity buses that they will be part of. And we must identify ways in which we can phase out what we have into what we want to have. And that's why we're having the conversations we're having. What is inevitable in any city is change. How we manage that change is what is important. How we ensure that every stakeholder is carried along is what is important. And I note here today that Lamata is doing that excellently well. Alongside the union, the university are also as academic and technical partners. A number of those projects that we're doing, a number of your professors are working with us. So for us, it is for us to understand that our bus, the face of our bus system will change over time. And that change is being managed excellently by Lamata to ensure that everybody is being carried along. Because we all, as citizens of Lagos, only one vision. That vision is that mobility becomes easy for me and for you. For those in the transport business, when their passengers are happy, they are happy. For us in the regulatory space, when my operators are happy, I'm happy. When my passengers are happy, I'm happy. So everybody is vested, and we must be vested in this change process that is coming. So that's the buses. Now, part of what we're also looking at, obviously, is rail infrastructure development. As was said earlier, Lagos has 6 rail lines, metro lines: the red, the blue, the purple, the green, the orange, the yellow. The blue goes from Marina all the way to Okokomaiko, and that is the one that is operational today. Today, the 5 stations and the first 13 kilometers of an all-electric system is functional. It is the first electric metro system in Africa. You know, when we started, everybody wondered whether it was ever going to be possible. But in Lamata, we don't give up. Today, we have run that system since September 2023. Now, what is important is that we have had 0 case of accident. We have had over 96% running efficiency. We have carried nearly 4 million passengers since inception. We have saved over 15,000 kilograms of CO2. Now that is what I describe as sustainable transportation. We also have the Red Line. The Red Line is a 27-kilometer rail line that goes from Agbado to Oyibo. Now, it is important that we recognize that collaboration is the way in which any city grows. The federal government implemented the Lagos-Ibadan rail line. Lagos State saw an opportunity, and we went and discussed with the federal government. We recognize that because within our transport system of our master plan, it says that we should build our own alongside the national rail. And that would have been a perfect solution. But sometimes you must look at your pockets and also how quickly can I roll out a program. We worked very closely with the Federal Ministry of Transportation and the NLC. We now are operating on their track and rebuilt about just under 4 kilometers of track to Oyibo. Collaboration is the way in which you can get development like that. Lamata recognized that. Lamata took the opportunity. And that's why today we are operating from Oyibo all the way to Agbado, and we stop at 8 stations. We commenced that service last quarter of 2024, and we have done over 70,000 passengers since inception. This is a work in progress for us, but it's always the way we start. So today we're not running every day. On the blue line, we're doing about 72 trips a day. But on this one, we're doing less. We're doing about 16 or so. So for us, we will continue to develop and to grow. But what is important is that, when we started the blue line, my team were like, we're not ready. We don't have this. I'm like, if we don't start, we won't get somewhere. So we have started. And the blue line is a resounding success. And the red line is also proving to be a resounding success. We recognize the fact that what we need the most is rolling stock on our rail lines. So the state has been in collaboration with the federal government. The federal government has assisted us. We're getting 3 new EMUs, i.e. electric multiple units for the blue line. That will come by the end of this year, beginning of next year. So what that says to me is that I am able to increase the number of trips we offer on the blue line. Now let's talk about headways, as what you people do. It's a matter of course. So today, you have a train every 18 minutes on the blue line at every station. In the next few weeks, we want to reduce that to every 10 minutes. But when we now get a new set of rolling stock come the first quarter of 2026, we will go down to every 5 minutes in the peak period. And by the time we get to your school, by the time we get all the way to Okokomaiko, you can be rest assured that in the peak period, we can do a train every 3 minutes. That will happen in the first quarter of 2027. We will have a signaling system that will allow us to implement that. And all of that is in progress as we speak. Obviously, the red line also, there's a second phase to the red line, and that is connecting the blue to the red. Now, there's a pet thing I have. You can have a rail line, but you can't have a rail system until you have connectivity. So it doesn't matter whether I build the blue and it's going like this, and I build the red and it's going like this. Until the two of them connect, I don't have a system. And connectivity is what enhances mobility. It's what makes it easy for you to get the effects of infrastructure. So the red line is going to be connecting with the blue line at National Theatre. Now, that is the second phase. We will take it from Oyinbo, we'll connect to National Theatre, and then you can go on to Marina. So that means you can come from Agbado and know that you're going to be in the center of Lagos in less than 45 minutes. So that's real. Now, part of what we need to do as Lagosians, we need to begin to embrace non-motorized transport. When I started, we talked about statistics, and we said 50% of our trips are walking. And I did say that it's not walking because they want to walk. It's walking because they don't have alternatives. But we need to begin to walk because we want to walk. It's good for our health. It's good for sustainability of transportation. It's not everything that must be mechanized. It's not everything that you must be entering a car for. You can walk, you can take a bicycle, you can do all of those things. Lamata recognizes that. And in some of our infrastructure, we're starting to put bicycle racks. We're talking to private sector to come and provide bicycles that will allow you to say, okay, I'm going to pay, 20 naira for a ride, and you can take it into city, into town. But it is important that we keep our walkways clear. We've trialed it out. Some of you would have seen this along the, if you're going towards St. Nicholas Hospital, all that road, we have cleared all the vulcanizers that are standing on the walkway, and we actually have a walkway that's functioned, and it's functioned since 2021. one of the things we want to do, for us, it's a vision. Connectivity is key. If you're doing transportation, and I don't want to be teaching you to suck eggs because you people should be telling me. Transportation is about connectivity. So we want to ensure that if you imagine the people in Lagos Island, the Campbell Street, all of those people, they need to be able to walk to a place like Marina Station or walk or cycle to a place like TBS. And you need to define that path for them. So that NMT project that we did, which runs from St. Nicholas Hospital all the way past King's College, we want to complete that phase so that it gets to TBS. And that means that you don't have to find a bus or a keke napep that will take you from your house to, you can actually walk that distance. It's good for your health. It's good for, you are breathing good, clean air, we hope. So non-motorized transportation is something that we are very passionate about. We, alongside the ministry, have gotten the NMT policy, the non-motorized transport policy, approved in 2018, and it has been made into all MDAs that implement transport infrastructure. You must ensure that there are walkways, and we're beginning to look at cycle paths. And we're looking at these things to ensure connectivity, that they actually go somewhere. So these are some of the, so can we go to the picture? These are Lamata's bragging points, rail stations. These are the first 2 electric trains that we have. Those are, that white bus is a massive CNG bus that we used to do some of our pilot schemes, and these are some of our infrastructure that we have implemented. Yet again, this is showing you some of our pictures, the first and last mile buses, the car card, the passenger display systems that exist in a number of our train stations today. We're also in the process of building some interchanges, which we'll talk about in a minute. But the most important thing for us is that with an interchange, it helps you to change maybe direction, it helps you to change mode, and it helps you to do it in the shortest time possible. With an interchange, we're hoping that you'll be able to change mode in less than 5 minutes. So we have an interchange in Mile 2, we have an interchange in Marina. So who are our strategic partners? This is very important because we recognize that as Lamata, we cannot, nobody is an island. We need to work with other collaborators to ensure the development of transportation in our city. So we have transport authorities and other planning MDAs that work with us. Ministry of Works, Ministry of Transportation is our parent ministry, so that's a given. We work a lot with the Ministry of Works. We work a lot with the Ministry of Physical Planning to ensure that planning meets transportation at a good place. So we're not building houses or homes or schools and there are no transport links for them. We work very closely with the Ministry of Planning so that every time they develop a new city plan, they send it to Lamata. And that's one fantastic thing about Lagos. No matter what you say, Lagos works well amongst all of its MDAs. So they send it to us, we look at it, we relate it back to the Strategic Transport Master Plan to be certain that we have covered what will be required for that new city development. Obviously, the Ministry of Transport launched its policy recently. We were a key part of contributing to that. Various policies and regulations, Lamata is very central to the development of Lagos in that sector. We have private sector people that we work with. I said it today that the state is encouraging private sector participation in the business of transportation. My brothers in NURTW and RITIAN demonstrate that private sector works. So let us start from there. It is not government that is funding their business. They are funding their business by themselves. So we will work with them to ensure that we help them scale that business, work in the regulated space. And that defines the fact that we can have a public transport system that has huge private sector leanings and partners. We have obviously things like BOCs, who these ones are one. We have regulated bus operating companies that work with Lamata today. We have a ticketing system which has been very successful. And these are the sort of value chain that we have and the private sector can participate in. We are asking avidly that private sector come and bring rolling stock, especially for the buses, both in the BRT space, in the first and last mile space, and the standard bus space. Now, we're also looking at manufacturers. We're speaking to manufacturers both within Nigeria and outside of Nigeria to ensure that the buses that we want are spec, they understand, and they will be able to provide what we require from a sustainability perspective and also from an efficiency position. You see, there's no point in me having a bus that in 4 years it will die or it will no longer be functional. We need buses in Lagos now that will have life of at least 10 to 15 years. The transport business is a business of very, very small returns, and it only begins to make sense when there's longevity within the rolling stock space. Um, we also are looking after them to provide training and technology support. So you see, when somebody has built a bus, it's also good for that person to come and train the people who will drive the bus. It's one of the things that we're looking at with some of the manufacturers that we're speaking to. We're also speaking, some of our strategic partners are international and local donor agencies. Lamata does a lot of work with international developmental agencies, the World Banks of this world, the AFD, the Swed Fund, and it is only because Lamata has demonstrated its capacity to deliver that a number of these agencies will come to us first. And so today we have literally every agency knocking on our door to work with us. We have the collaborations with universities and associations. We work a lot with a number of your professors with University of LASU. We work with even University of Lagos in various capacities. And we have a number of you as interns. When you come, you work with us during your CWS program. You just identified one of your star pupils who works with us today. So let me just say that the transport department was actually the brainchild of the governor in Lagos State at the time. And Dr. Fred and the MD were mandated to come and lecture. So no matter as I remember Dr. Mobrella that time used to come and lecture. Dr. Fred used to come and lecture because we recognize that Lamata will only grow when we can have a crop of young people come out of a university like LASU, that we know the capacity that the state has inputted it into yourself. So we have always worked with LASU and we will continue to do that. So we've talked about the history of Lagos from a perspective of transportation. We've talked about the things Lamata has achieved to date. Let's talk about what Lamata's future plans are. What are we looking at doing? One of the things we've said today is that we need nothing less than 15,000 buses. As part of that, we've started conversations. My NURT W brothers and my Ritia, they have written us a letter that we have been waiting for these buses a long time. Don't fall my hand. You must bring them. So what are we saying? They recognize and we recognize them. They work with us excellently. And they've said to us that they will bring high capacity buses to us. We are working with them and we're talking to their financiers as well. So they're putting their money where their mouth is, and we must give them a round of applause. So we also have other private sector players who are working with us to ensure that we increase our rolling stock. So the vision is that by Q4 of 2026, we have no less than 2,000 buses additional to the fleet that we currently have. We also expect to have, and we have not written that here, but it's true. We're going to have 500 electric buses. Now, it is important for us to note Lamata is a forward-thinking authority. We recognize the fact that we do not want to be monofueled. We have defined and decided to be a multi-fueled agency, which means we will have CNG buses, we will have electric buses, and we will have some diesel buses as well. But those diesel buses will continue to reduce in number as we grow the CNG and the electric buses. We intend to complete 51 kilometers of quality bus corridors. For us, these quality bus corridors, I will show you in a minute, they will connect to the major BRT routes and terminals. It is all about connectivity. It is all about connectivity. The ability to connect is what ensures mobility is seamless. So these quality bus corridors, they have been identified as signs that are required to ensure good access to BRT routes. As part of that, we will have 4 depots, we will have 15 terminals, and 166 bus stops will be implemented. Fully, we will come to the era where buses will not stop because Yakudi says she wants to get down. But buses will stop only because the driver sees the bus stop. And that will happen when we continue to have these infrastructure available for our bus operators to know. And then we continue to have advocacy and training. We will complete Aja. We will complete Iyanoipaja because we have completed the Bulieba bus terminal. We will complete the multimodal interchanges at Marina and Mile 2. And both of those interchanges will include non-motorized transport options. So there'll be cycle paths, there'll be walking ways. There will be construction of electric bus depot in Iyanoipa. So we're looking at that area being where we deploy the majority. So even you get it. You will be the ones who will enjoy the majority of our electric buses because this is the corridor that we want to deploy them in. We will also extend some of our BRT corridors that exist at the moment, and we are looking at the solar electrification of our bus terminals. This is all in the bid to reduce costs and also to walk in the direction of sustainability. Now, so let's look at the quality bus corridors that we're talking about. We have 8 of them. And, I spoke earlier about the bus industry transition program. That bus industry transition program that we're having conversations with the union, the vision is that they will be the ones, at least position of first refusal as operating these routes and bringing rolling stock to these routes. And it will be working with Lamata under the regulated system. These are the quality bus corridors that we have. And if you look at that map, you will see that the majority of them, what I'm talking about is this connectivity, and that's what we're trying to do. But these quality bus corridors will connect you to major BRT lines and also the rail lines that we have. Next slide, please. So we're looking at extension of some of our BRT corridors. So today we have Abule Egba Oshodi. The extension should go all the way into Songwater. We're in conversations with Ogun State for that. We also want to implement the Oworun Shokia Papa, either by segregated lanes or just by priority lane marking. But those are the 2 BRT projects that are on the front burner for Lamata at the moment. So let's look at what do we have in terms of railway. So Lagos has its very own urban railroad network. As you know, we have every color in the rainbow. We have blue, we have green, we have purple, we have orange, yellow, and we have the monorail. So the blue line, I think everybody in Lagos State knows the blue line back to front now. Some people will lecture us in Lamata. So Maltu to Kukumaiko is what we're implementing at the moment. We're in the process of speaking to the federal government. The federal government has taken on the green line, and you know what I say is that when you do well, they will come and find you. So that is the story of Lamata. Yoruba people, I will say that Yoruba people will say Omotoba Shipa, Oun Lagba Magbe. So because Lamata has demonstrated capacity, Lamata has demonstrated the ability to implement and to deliver, the federal government looked at us and said, you know, beyond supporting you with rolling stock, we will support you by finding private sector to work with us. We will stand behind you and find private sector and implement the green line. And for us, that has been fantastic. So today, we have a detailed feasibility study for the Green Line. We're doing advocacy at the moment. The Green Line goes from Lekki all the way to the Lekki Free Trade Zone from Marina. And what I want you to do is to look at that network. The route is very clear. There's a lot of connectivity amongst the rail lines itself. And then there's connectivity for the buses. It is important. You know, every time I've spoken today, all I keep harping on is connectivity. Connectivity is what ensures efficient transportation. We connect not just with buses, we connect not just amongst within rail systems, we connect also with ferries. So when I look at uh, what do you call it? Ikeja, for instance, I have the bus terminal and the rail terminal right next to it. And that's the way Mile 2 has all three modes of transportation, and you can change modes in less than 5 minutes. And that's the same thing for Marina. All three modes of transportation exist in Marina, and the interchange will ensure that you can make those transitions in a very short space of time. Purple Line is another one that private sector completely has taken up. The AFDB are the ones championing the Purple Line, and we have started very quietly but very rapidly to develop the environmental social impact assessment. A number of private sector people have committed. When we went to Rabat, to the Africa Investment Forum, we got commitment of no less than $1 billion towards the implementation of the Purple Line. So the other lines that we have is the orange line, which is between Ikeja and Agbowa, and the yellow line, which is between National Theatre and Ta. But inside the Central Business District, we have something I call it the Circle Line. My transport system calls it the Victoria Island Monorail. What it does is it gives you the capacity and the ability to move around the Central Business District of Lagos. It goes from Marina to Victoria Island to Lekki to Ikoyi and back to Marina. So it just makes transportation easy within the Central Business Districts of Lagos. Now, it was talked about earlier about the fact that, and I've said it here, Lamata does not want to be monofueled. We continuously look for ways in which we can improve the system and the services that we offer the people of Lagos, and also our environment and the sustainability of our transport system. So we have been working with the SWED Fund on the implementation and development of a biogas plant. So the first thing we did is to look at what we have and how to ensure that we can marry what we have with what we want to have. So the CNG buses that we're procuring will not become obsolete when we begin to have biogas plants, because we have ensured that the biogas can fuel the CNG buses as well. So we don't have to now go and look for new rolling stock. So what is important is that we have worked with the SWED Fund. We have carried out the feasibility study that has identified that the implementation of a biogas system is financially and economically viable. The governor of Lagos State has looked at what we have and has set up a steering committee that includes all the stakeholders, Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Environment, Ministry of Energy, Lamata, to ensure and drive the development of a biogas plant. Lamata, because of our drive, we have been identified as the chair of that committee. and we're continuing to drive that. Now we note the feasibility study has gone to a second phase, and we're now saying that why stop at the production of the biogas? We're now looking at fertilizer, production of electricity to ensure that we get the maximum value out of the system. And so that is showing you the value chain of our biogas production. The vision is that in less than before 2029, we will be able to have a plant produces biogas, and we and our operators will be off-takers for that gas. Now, so we've talked about a lot of the beautiful things. We must not leave you without acknowledging that we have challenges. But challenges are what drive us, because at the end of the day, if you don't have challenges, there will be no drive. So one of the biggest challenges, obviously, is cost of delivering all of these transport infrastructure. The unstable macroeconomics environment. We have seen, I spoke earlier about the fact that when we started the standard routes, diesel was 170. We ended up at 1,000 whatever. And I remember I went for a conference and they said, oh, when the West is always quick to want to tell you how to do what you ought to do. Oh, you should have hedged against this. If you had done a hedge, it would have worked. So I told them, you tell me how I can hedge from 170 to 1,000 something. So they now said, okay, we see your problem. So the challenge always is that until we begin to get into a stabilized macroeconomic environment, we will always see these problems. Exchange rates, because unfortunately for us, we're still importing a number of things that we utilize in the transport infrastructure. Limited right of way, this is the story of Lagos. Lagos is a very, very, very small space, and we're all trying to cram ourselves into this small space. And the only way we can do it, and that's why we in Lamata keep saying that the only way to sustainability is to go mass transportation. We have to somehow reduce the number of vehicles on our roads. So we reduce congestion, we reduce gas emission, and we increase the mobility of our people. Sometimes we have delaying policy implementation. We saw Lagos State with the policy position. Whilst Dr. Fred was commissioner, we had our policy document literally there. Unfortunately, federal government were not ready. We were all waiting because your state policy must sit underneath your national policy. But I think in the end, Lagos State went and just delivered their own policy. So those kind of things will slow down progress, because policy will drive your strategic directions. And so I think the more that our political world drive our civil service sector to ensure that every area has policy implementation as quickly as possible, it will help us in the implementation and the strategic directions that various industries want to go. Public awareness, adoption, and acceptability. Now, this is a big challenge in Lagos. We all know what is right to do. We have had BRT since 2008, and people are still complaining that they are catching them on BRT. I don't understand. Because we have told so many times what the situation is. Don't go on BRT. People know. I don't know whether it's because of migration that people will say they don't know. Some people will still call us and say they did not know that that was a BRT. Now, that awareness is something that we in Lamata need to take seriously. We need to continue to advocate alongside our parent ministry. We need to continue to advocate. We need to continue to make people aware. I remember when we started the electric trains, we had to keep talking. They called us all sorts of names, electrocution mama, all sorts, because we kept telling them that they have to know, don't walk on the tracks. So this is a part that I feel that Lamata can't sort of relax on. We have to continue as an authority to keep talking about the things that we want Lagosians to understand. The fact that our dedicated bus routes are sacrosanct only for buses that are regulated and accepted to be on those lanes. The fact that your junctions are not for you to clog up. If you see in Lagos today, they have done a number of yellow line hatchings and a number of improvements to junctions. Now, that is infrastructure being developed. Where are the people, the understanding that the people must have to understand that that hatching says I must not enter that box unless I can see clear way forward. So there's so many things that we do that I feel that we are not we the people need to know, and they need to know quickly. And we can't stop talking because it appears that if I say it today, I come tomorrow, somebody will tell me that they haven't heard. So public awareness and action of all these things that we're implementing is key to ensuring that people respond and respect the infrastructure that has been implemented. If I build all of these things and people don't aligned to it. So we have a big challenge on the red line, for instance. People keep still crossing the tracks. And it's a lot better, but we still have to keep talking. So there's so many things that as Lagosians, and we're all represented here, we need to take seriously, understand that the vision of the state is for the betterment of us, the citizenry, and align with what the state is choosing to implement for us. And there's that final thing where people say, uh, change is inevitable, but somehow we as a people are reluctant to change. But it is important that we agree that change is coming. Not only is it coming, it will affect you, it will affect me, it will affect every single one of us, but it will ensure that we have the Lagos of our dreams. It will ensure that our transport space will be that much better for everybody. And when it is, the economy of Lagos will grow and keep growing. Thank you very much for this.
Please keep that coming, keep that coming, keep that coming. Wow. Wow. Now that was thought provoking. Thank you very much, ma. Thank you very much, ma. Listening to her, I began to wonder, is this the same woman who just lost her mother just about 3 days ago? So imagine if she's not bereaved. How will she be doing this? Please, ladies and gentlemen, can we give her a resounding round of applause again? For me, the lecture can be summarized in two, or do I say four Japanese words. Yorishai, Yorikanai. Good thinking, good thinking, that is it. That is all I see in Lamata. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point in time, we are going to have to hold on with our questions and answers. We will not be able to take that now because, of course, like I said before, our guest lecturer has to find a way out of this place very, very soon. So we are going straight to presentation of our class. But before I do that, let me quickly recognize the presence of DCP Tijani Fatai, who just joined us, Deputy Commissioner of Police Operations. Thank you very much for joining us, sir. I also recognize the presence of Commander Ajibade Adekunle, Rep of the Trace Commander General. Thank you very much for joining us, sir. Also with us this afternoon, the GM LASU, that is Lagos State Waterways Authority, is Oluwadamilola Emmanuel. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us. We also have the representative of LASHMA, that is Comrade Ogunremi. Comrade Ogunremi, thank you very much for joining us also. So, ladies and gentlemen, on that note, I'd now like to invite Baba himself, Professor Badejo, to come and supervise this aspect of the program, which is the presentation of appreciation awards. And the very first person that will be presented an award, of course, is the woman that has really nourished us this afternoon. and that is our guest speaker, Miss Engineer Mrs. Abimbola Akin Ajo. And the award is presented by the Vice Chancellor, represented by Deputy Vice Chancellor Academics.
This is an appreciation award presented to Engineer Mrs. Abimbola Akinjo, FNSE, Managing Director, CEO, Lagos Metropolitan Area Transport Authority, Lamata, in recognition of your selfless contribution to strategic development and modernization of transport infrastructure of Lagos State by the Lagos State Government Endowed Professorial Chair, School of Transport and Logistics, Lagos State University. Congratulations.
Have you taken the pictures? Are you good? Okay. Please celebrate them as they take the picture. It's been really a thought-provoking and indeed very enlightening session. Yet that is that. And then of course, I've also been told that there's an award to be presented to the Vice Chancellor.
Okay, so the previous one was for her, and this one, an appreciation award presented to Lamata, Lagos Metropolitan Area Transport Authority, in recognition of the agency's contribution to massive multimodal and intermodal transport infrastructure development of Lagos State. Congratulations. Lamata family, please join us.
Others can have their seats so that we can have Lamata. Yes, you can have your seat. Lamata family, let's make it very snappy. All right, thank you. Then we go straight to the next award presentation, and that will be done by Professor Badejo and the Dean of the School of Transport, Professor Charles Seneme. Please kindly join Professor Badejo to present this award.
This award is presented to Professor Ibiyemi Ibilala Latuju Bello, the Vice Chancellor of Lagos State University, in recognition of her immense contribution towards the growth of transport and logistics education in Nigeria. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to send you to yes, sir. Only people to do. Okay, go to the. Sir.
Okay, we take it outside the auditorium. Yeah. So the group photographs taken outside the auditorium. Kindly remain on your seats. We are just going to have a group photograph outside, and the program will continue immediately after. So please remain on your seat. I want to pick up with Prophet. I can press my home at home before they go lost with him. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience. What a day it has been. The second guest lecture of the School of Transports and Logistics. And that lecture, which you heard just a few minutes ago, has been competently and very excellently delivered by engineer Mrs. Abimbola Akinjo, FNSC, the MD CEO of Lamata. And having said that, once again, we welcome back guests. Thank you once again for being a part of this. I like for us to go to the next program on the agenda,
and that will be goodwill messages. Goodwill messages, we have 3 people who have been penciled down to take goodwill messages without so please crave your indulgence for us to wait for the return of the co-host and the host, that is the dean and the professor. Oh, okay, great. So wait for Professor Badijo to return so that we can continue this program. We are LASU. All right, so I have the permission of the host, that the professor sent email for us to continue with the goodwill messages. So on that note, I'd like to invite, take the microphone to deliver his goodwill message, the Honorable Commissioner for Transportation in Lagos State, Honorable Oluwa Sheun Chiyemi, who is represented by Engineer Akinleye, to come and deliver the goodwill message of the Honorable Commissioner. Please, a round of applause for him.
Thank you very much. The Vice Chancellor, ably represented by the DVC Academics Professor Hosseini Afisi, the representative of the Honorable Commissioner, Ministry of Transportation of Ogun State, the immediate past Commissioner, Ministry of Transportation, Dr. Frederick Olade, indeed supposed to be my boss, the chief convener of this program, Professor Badijo, my Ogas, Professor Esjodewumi, the Dean, School of Transport, Professor Charles Asedime, all the dignitaries present here, the Transport Union representatives, NRTW, Ritian, the representatives of MDAs here, the CEOs, you are all recognized. The Honorable Commissioner, Mr. Oluwaseun Oshiemi, is unavoidably absent, hence he sends his goodwill message, which I crave on your indulgence to read out now. Esteemed guests, honorable members of the academia, and distinguished participants, it is both an honor and a privilege to stand before you today as the special guest of honor for the Lagos State Endowed Professional Chair on Transport Studies guest lecture. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to each of you for your commitment to the advancement of transportation infrastructure in our beloved state. Today, we gather to discuss a theme that resonates deeply within the very fabric of our urban existence: transport infrastructure delivery and sustainable development. Specifically, we will delve into the transformative experiences of the Lagos Metropolitan Area Transport Authority, LAMATA, which we have done, and celebrate the significant strides we have made in enhancing our transport systems across the state. Under the visionary leadership of the Governor of Lagos State, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, with the innovative ideas and creativity of the Managing Director, Lagos Metropolitan Area Transport Authority, Engineer Mrs. Abimbola Akinjo, we have witnessed true innovation in an approach to transportation. That we have seen during her lecture. From the commissioning of new rail lines that connect distant parts of our metropolitan area to the expansion of our road networks the implementation of the bus rapid transport system, and the strategic development of our waterways for efficient transport. Each initiative stands as a testament to our commitment to building a sustainable and integrated transport system in Lagos State. The Lagos State government, under the guidance of our esteemed Mr. Governor and in alignment with the Team Slots agenda, prioritizes collaboration and partnership with institutions of learning such as Lagos State University, School of Transport. Together, we can amplify our efforts and create a synergy that not only enhances our transport infrastructure, but also fosters a generation of thought leaders who will drive sustainable development in our states. As we embark on this enlightening journey today, let us remain focused on our mission to build a transport system that is efficient, reliable, and accessible for all residents. The road ahead may be challenging, just as the MD enumerated here, but with the collective expertise and dedication from both the governments and the academic community, and of course, other stakeholders, I am confident that we will achieve our goals. In closing, I would like to express my gratitude to the Lagos State Endowed Professional Chair on Transport Studies for organizing this important event, and to all of you for your commitment to advancing the discourse on transportation and sustainable development. Thank you once again for being here. Let us engage robustly in this discourse and work together to elevate Lagos State as a model for sustainable transportation in Africa. Thank you, and God bless your transport, Lagos State University. God bless Lagos State. Igugba Binaifu, Ajumoshemi, Mr. Oluwaseun Moshemi, Honorable Commissioner for Transportation, Lagos State. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Commissioner for Transportation in Lagos State, for that well delivered video message. Please send our greetings to the Honorable Commissioner. So he's my namesake, by the way, just tell him his namesake. They send greetings to him. Ladies and gentlemen, before I invite the next video message, I'd like to recognize the presence of the General Manager, Lagos Traffic Radio, that is Mr. Tayo Akonle. Okay, I've been told it's at the back. Okay, thank you very much for joining us, sir. Mr. Victor Oferi is also here, Director Program, Lagos Traffic Radio. Thank you very much. We are glad to have you join us. And again, I must properly recognize DCP Tijani Matai is representing the Honorable Commissioner of Police in Lagos State. Thank you very much for joining us, sir. Now, having said that, I'd like to invite the Honorable Commissioner for Transport in Ogun State, Engineer Benga Bairo, for his goodwill message.
I would like to start that.
Well, this is an exclusive information, one that you have not paid for. I've just been informed that Engineer Benga Bairo is the Chairman of Commissioner for Transportation in Nigeria. Please a round of applause for him. And is the one that championed the deregulation, the decentralization, I mean, of the railway system from the exclusive list to the concurrent list. Please another round of applause for him. Which, incidentally, Lagos State is now taking the lead. Well, hopefully, the state will also follow suit very soon. Yeah, so, but I know Lagos State is taking the lead, so please, again, clap for him. Thank you very much, sir. So please, Honorable Commissioner, please over to you. Good message.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Much as I would like to maintain the already established protocol, I can't but recognize the presence of those who are at the high table now, starting from the Dean of the School of Transport and Logistics in Lagos State, Professor Charles Asineme, the former Honorable Commissioner of Transportation in Lagos State, Dr. Frederick Olatunde, and my colleague from Lagos State representing the Honorable Commissioner for Transport in Lagos State, Engineer Olasukomi Ojewuro, and then the chair himself, Professor Bamidele Badejo. I bring greetings from the over 7 million people of Ogun State, as I ably represent the Honorable Commissioner of Transportation, Engineer Dairo, who is unavoidably absent. He happened to be part of the larger Lamata family before he was reminded that home is sweet, just as Professor Badejo was reminded some years back when he was transportation in Lagos State, that he should come back home. I know we have so many others too that we still have to trace their origin back to Ogun State. I don't want to say Dr. Oladende looks like somebody from my area. But you may be wondering that what is Ogun State doing in Lagos program like this? You need to understand that the only way out of Lagos State is Ogun State. And of course, you have to be nice to your gate man because it can allow anybody in and out. So whether you like it or not, Lagos State has to invite Ogun State when this kind of discourse is ongoing. You also recognize that Professor Magun gets Lagos Mega City projects has 70%, 30% of its focused on Ogun State. The Lagos State Strategic Transport Master Plan of today has 25% focus on Ogun State. You want to ask me why the reduction? Has there been any boundary adjustment? I say no. Maybe Dr. Alasande, representing Lagos State at the highest level here now, can tell us why the shrinkage. But we need to understand also that the Lagos State Strategic Transport Master Plan provides a springboard or a launch pad for Ogun State Strategic Transport Master Plan. Because the two states, before the surgical operation of the Obasanjo's administration in 1976, were a single state. Whether that surgical operation that separated the two states was successful or not, I never can tell. But what I can say is that though we have distinct geographical boundaries, but we do not have any social boundary. So most of the things happening in Lagos spill over to Ogun State. Ogun State has the highest effect of development pressure coming from what Dr. Akinjo described as 22 million people growing to 30 million by 2030. And if you understand that all this pressure has to be soaked in by the neighbor, which is Ogun State. So, of course, we have to be part of the strategic plan of Lagos State. And that is why Ogun State has to be part of this discourse. And I can tell you for free that 80% of the public transport initiatives of Lagos State terminate in Ogun State. Either the quality bus routes, BRT, the rail, or even the waterways. I know that there's somebody that can satisfy that here now. So all of this terminate Lagos State. So if we are not giving corresponding support to Lagos State in these instances, then efforts in Lagos State will be in futility. And that is why Lagos State, through Lamata, has been so cooperative, they've been so inclusive, they've been so participatory in the development and implementation of the master plan. And that is why, as at yesterday, this time yesterday, we were having a strategic discussion on the on the purple line. There was a reference to the green line extension, a green line of Lagos State from Marina to Lekki, and there's going to be an extension to local line in Ogun State. Just as we are having an extension from Okumaiko to Agbara for the blue line, and now we're also having for the red line services that the federal government has also recognized and has started to support. So for this, we can only appreciate Lagos State and Lamata for all of this. And also, I want to extend appreciation to the Endo Professorial Chair also for making it a point of duty to connect the gown and the town with this kind of forum. So on this note, once again, I say thank you to Lagos State University School of Logistics and Transport. Thank you to LASU. Thanks to Professor Chair that has brought this particular initiative in place. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you to you all.
Thank you very much, Honorable Commissioner for Transportation in Ogun State. Next, it is my pleasure to invite to take the microphone and deliver his goodwill message, the former Honorable Commissioner for Transportation in Lagos State, a man whom it is important that I state championed the Lagos transport policy, which is yet to take off, of course, because approval is still being awaited at the federal level. But of course, when it eventually takes off, we know that it will be the best in the country, no doubt. Ladies and gentlemen, please with a resounding round of applause. Welcome, Honorable Dr. Frederick Oladende.
Thank you very much. First of all, let me acknowledge Professor Badejo. I call him my father because I remember when he was the commissioner for transport. I think I just came into the country and I was having difficulty settling down. And I mean, he was one of the few nice people around that ensured that I had a very easy introduction back into Nigeria. I haven't spent a lot of time abroad. Thank you very much, sir. Professor Aseneme also. The first time I met him, he was still, I think he was pursuing his PhD. And then he was driving this car. And then the car stepped on the road and then he was pushing it. And I said to myself, my God, who is this big doctor? And since then, and he has gone on to become a professor. And sometimes I wonder whether I should have just moved into academia rather than going into private, public transport practice and eventually into politics. But as, sorry? But let me also recognize the representative of Ogun State and then the commissioner, the representative of the commissioner for transport Lagos State. And let me acknowledge the good work you guys are doing in both Ogun State and Lagos State in trying to ensure that we continue to develop a sustainable transport system in Nigeria. I think Ogun State and Lagos State are taking the lead. And I remember when I was commissioner and I was part of the chairman of commissioners, it used to be Ogun State and Lagos State that gave ideas. And the rest of the state used to look at us like, well, where are you guys from? But having listened to engineer Abimbola Kiajo, the very fantastic lecture. Let me also remind you that I was a part of the family from 2008 to 2019. And I was wondering, should I have left to join politics or should I have stayed and then just continue this good work? But as Professor Dewumia said, it's always good to combine, which is what I've done. But I think my good message today is for the academic world. We've heard of what Lamata, what they're doing, and transportation in Lagos State, in Ogun State, and the rest of Nigeria is only going to get more complex. And it's very important that the university sector or the university environment key into what is happening There's a lot of research that needs to be done. We want to train our people that will manage this complex system. At the moment, I remember when I first came, I mean, we were headhunting for people to manage the complex system. But now that we have a school of transportation, I think I want to challenge the professors, I want to challenge all the lecturers, and I want to challenge the students to tap into what is going on. There's a lot of beautiful work going on in Nigeria. As you heard, we have launched the transport policy. And by the way, the transport policy has been approved. We're not waiting for the federal government. So Lagos State has gone ahead to start implementing. And I believe that they've set up an implementation committee that would ensure that policy is implemented. And it's important that they implement the policy because as the complex as the transport system becomes more complex, we now need to evolve the institutional arrangement in such a way that they're able to manage the complex transport system. So we're going to see a lot of um, institutions evolving over time, getting bigger, getting more complex. And this is where I feel that transportation, I mean, the good times have come. And I want all the students, the lecturers, the professors to tap into this and let's do, I mean, there's a lot of research. I mean, you heard about biogas. Um, Rail is a very complex operation and there's going to be a massive amount of people that will be needed to maintain the rail system. We want you to tap into that. There's a lot of research in terms of moving from, if you look at NLC, I mean, they use coal, they use diesel. They're trying to transit to CNG before electric trains. And there's a lot of research that needs to be done just to make sure that we continue to evolve, we continue to be on top of the game. So my challenge to everybody in academia, you can absorb me if you want, is let's tap into what is happening. Let's continue to lift the standard of transportation in Nigeria. Let's be at the forefront in Africa as we develop our rail system, as we develop our BLT, as we develop the water transport system, as we begin to integrate the whole thing. This is very complex. There's a lot of work to be done. And I think everybody has a part, a role to play. So that will be my goodwill message to you. Welcome to this complex system and let's make it evolve together. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Laden, the former Honorable Commissioner for Transportation in Lagos State. And thank you very much, sir, for setting the record straight that the transport policy has been approved and became operationalized in 2024. That information is very, very vital. Thank you very much, sir. I must again recognize Mr. Damilola Emmanuel, GM LASU. Again, thank you very much for joining us. And Baba has insisted that I again recognize the presence of Mr. Idowu Uguntono, who is being represented today. Thank you very much for your presence here, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, all right, so at this point in time, we'll be going to some session of awards, and I'd like to invite the Dean, Professor Asenime, to coordinate the presentation of awards. Ladies and gentlemen, just joining us is Elijah Molikat, the immediate past president of CIOTA. Thank you very much, ma. Please a round of applause for her. We appreciate your presence at this very distinguished lecture. Thank you for your presence, ma. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Are you hungry? Don't worry. After we'll go to Sheraton Hotel. The chef just called me that he has kept food for everybody. We just have some series of award. I stand in for the BBC card. What are these awards now? Ask them. So we'll call on Dr. Fred Oladeyinde to give this award to the governor of Lagos State, who will be ably represented by Chief Elder Ojuwuro. They've asked him to enjoy the moment.
This award is in recognition of the governor's excellent contribution to transport infrastructure development and traffic management in Lagos State through the team's agenda. I think when you look at what the governor has done in transport, uh, he has been very brave. You remember that the rail started some time ago, and then he took it upon himself to ensure that during his tenure he would finish the blue line and then he will start the red line. And he has done two rail projects at the same time during his tenure. So, and then he has done other wonderful stuff in transportation. So, in recognition of what he has done, I present this award to the governor of Lagos State.
Thank you very much, former Honorable Commissioner for Transport. The next award is for the Commissioner for Transport, Lagos State, who is ably represented by Chief Elder Ojuwuro. I'll call on Professor S.G. Odewumi, and he was not expecting it, so please come and present this award. Thank you. Please clap for our grandee.
For efficient performance by LASG, the only endowed chair in LASU. Thank you very much.
No, you can take it forward.
All right, the next one it's an award given to the Honorable Commissioner for Transport in Ogun State, Engineer Benga Dairo, represented by the Honorable Commissioner for represented by Engineer Tosa Akindele. I hereby call on Dr. Salam Taiwo to assist us give her this award. Please clap for Dr. Salam Taiwo. We also call on the GM LASWA to join us here so that if we are going through water, we'll be safe. GM LASWA is here. So
Okay, I'm to present this award in appreciation or and in recognition of your contribution towards efficient coordination of transport agencies and traffic management of Ogun State. We want to thank you, Honorable Engineer Pinga Dairo. Thank you very much.
All right, I learned the MOT family wants to come up. Are you up to 100? Will you please come up? But to ensure that our stage does not fall, I know there are many. Please come so that we can have that. MOT family, you can be this way. Okay, you are this way. Okay, so it's okay with me. MOT family, and for those who want to work in MOT, you can join.
Last one. What are the presentation for where?
Okay, this next award. So this next award goes to Honorable Dr. Frederick Oladende. I know he was not expecting it. He's shocked, but he deserves it. And to be presented by the representative of the Commissioner of Police and representative of the Lagos Bus Services Limited, LBSL, Elder, come up. Elder Razak, okay, Razak Obadino, we present it. This year, two of them are good one. Elder Razak Obadino. He's the representative of the MD LBSL. Razak Obadino. It's gone. Please.
Okay. An appreciation award presented to the Honorable Dr. Frederick Oladende, former Honorable Commissioner for Transport, in recognition of your contribution in the development of transport policy for effective traffic management in Lagos State. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So the next award goes to
Thank you very much. And I want to thank you for your patience and for your understanding. And the last awardee, but not the least, greatest last one. We are LASU, we are great. This award that I'm going to announce is going to We are LASU and we are great. It's going to be an award to the School of Transport and Logistics of Trade University. And to collect that award on behalf of the School of Transport and Logistics is no other person other than the Dean, Dr. I can call the real one. The real one. Dr. Professor Charles Asedive. You know why Dr. came to my mouth? We've been together even while we were both Mr. Mr. Even myself, Mr. But today, if you see your schoolmate, no matter how popular and learned you are, he will still call you with the old acronym that you all grew up to know. So pardon me, sir. He is Professor Asedive, the Dean, School of Transport and Logistics, Lagos State University. This award is in recognition of the contribution towards the development of transport and logistics education and research advancement in Nigeria. Congratulations. I want to invite the academic staff and non-academic staff of the School of Transport here present to join the Dean in receiving this award, please. And let us do it quickly and fast. That is doesn't cost about the 30 seconds. Then coming from the long profits. I want to present it to you. It's not sure that it's in the letters. Some kind of question people are done. I want to take the indulgence, Mr. MC, and that of the representative of our chairman. I want to invite the student representative of the School of Transport and Logistics here present to join the team in receiving their award. The award, if we are not there as students, the teachers will not be there to do their diligence. And if they are not there, this award cannot manifest itself. So if you are a student in the School of Transport and Logistics, I want the first 10 to come out and join the dean to pick this award. Quick, let's do it, please. 1, 2, 3, go.
Yeah, probably have yes. If anybody here now, it's not about that. Talk, I won't lie here. Maybe some just at the top. Some line, this is family.
Yeah.
And that
Hello. Some of them can lie down.
can line up in there. You can line here.
That's our cameraman, please.
Are you not lining? Line.
Oh, sorry. Arrange yours. I hope you're okay. Wait. We are Bele. Bele, you're calling. We are join us. No, don't move. Yeah. Okay. Don't worry, continue that answer as well. When one is in, Thank you very much. You can take your leave. Oh, yeah. Okay. Go back to my job. Don't close. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. It has been a very wonderful day. Just as closing remarks, I want to thank Dr. Frederick Oladeinde. He has been here since morning. I want to thank the representative of the Commissioner of Transport of Lagos and Ogun State. I want to thank Professor S.D. Odewumi. I want to thank Mama Siota. Say closing. At the close. I want to also thank Engineer Bomeji. The infrastructure holds a very strong catalyst for development in any city. Without a good infrastructure, no city can move. And transport is that catalyst too that helps a city to develop. So for what you have heard today, the LASMA people, their work will be easier if the infrastructure is good. From what you have heard today, you take it home. The lecture is loaded for especially those in final year who are doing their project. There are a lot of materials you can take out of that place. And I know that we'll have course later to say thank you for this lecture. So I wish you all well. Thank you very much.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, on that note, we now invite Dr. Fatai King, the Chairman Organizing Committee of this lecture, to give a vote of thanks. Please, a round of applause for Dr. Yakin. He has done exceedingly well to make this a reality. Please, a round of applause for him.
Thank you so much. The Honorable Commissioner for Transportation in Lagos State, ably represented by our dear Engineer Ojowuro. The Honorable Commissioner for Transportation, Ogun State, ably represented by Engineer Akinleye. Welcome, sir. The former Honorable Commissioner for Transportation in Lagos State, Honorable Dr. Frederick Oladeyinde. Welcome, sir. The Vice Chancellor, Lagos State University, Professor Ibiyemi Ibilola Olatunji Bello, MNI, FNLI, FSP, SP, NPOM, ably represented by our dear Deputy Vice Chancellor Academics, Professor Hussein Taiwo, RPC. Our dear 001 in the School of Transport and Logistics, Professor Charles Asenime, our distinguished professor who is the chair of the Lagos State Government Endowed Professorial Chair on Transport Studies, Professor Bamidele Badejo. Our esteemed and distinguished invited guests, distinguished and world-class students of Lagos State University, we are LASU, we are LASU, we are LASU. It is my greatest honor and privilege to deliver the vote of thanks at this important gathering, the second guest lecture organized by the Lagos State University School of Transport and Logistics under the auspices of the Lagos State Endowed Professorial Chair on Transport Studies. First and foremost, we give thanks to the Almighty God for making today's event a resounding success. On behalf of the School of Transport and Logistics and the Endowed Professorial Chair, I wish to express our deep appreciation to the Vice Chancellor of Lagos State University, Professor Ibiyemi Ibilola Olatunji Bello. Thank you, Ma, for your unwavering support, which continues to strengthen the academic and developmental strides of our school. A very special appreciation goes to our distinguished guest lecturer, Engineer Mrs. Abimbola Akinjo, FNSC, for the insightful and inspiring presentation on transport infrastructure delivery and sustainable development of Lagos State, the Lamata experience. Your lecture has not only deepened our understanding of transport infrastructure, but has also opened new perspectives for sustainable development of the Southwest region. We are deeply honored by the presence of the Honorable Commissioner for Transport of Lagos State and the Honorable Commissioner for Transport of Ogun State, ably represented. Your commitment to interstate collaboration and transport development is commendable and highly encouraging. We also appreciate the presence of the former Commissioner for Transport, Lagos State, whose pioneering efforts laid the groundwork for many of today's achievements, as well as the Permanent Secretary, Lagos State Ministry of Transport, for the continued dedication and implementation, policy implementation and institutional support. We recognize and thank the various Lagos State transport agencies who have stood as critical partners in the journey towards improving urban mobility and transport system in Lagos State. To our deans, including our former dean in this faculty, Professor L.T. Odewumi, we recognize you, sir. We appreciate you. And the directors of academic centers across the university, thank you for your support and partnership in advancing knowledge and innovation. Special thanks to members of the planning committee and my distinguished colleague who work around the clock to make sure that today's event is a success. Your hard work behind the scenes has made today's event memorable and impactful. Finally, to all our invited guests, staff, students, and even our professional bodies here present today, including our Mama Siota. Welcome, Ma, for honoring us. May the Almighty God honor you, Ma. Please let us appreciate her. So we thank you all for your presence and for your keen engagement throughout the event. May the conversation started here today continue to influence policies, practices, and partnerships that will move our transport sector and indeed Lagos State forward. Thank you and God bless.
All right, thank you very much. And with that, we have come to a glorious end to the second guest lecture of the School of Transportation of Lagos State University. Ladies and gentlemen, like I like to say, thank you. Eshe, Dalu, Nagode, Asantizana, Singaporean, and everything on and on and on. See you again next year by the grace of God. Thank you. Have a safe trip back to your destinations. We are LASU.